Salute. So today we're going to have a conversation. We're going to discuss whether the actions that are being taken by Hyundai Motors and Kia Motors is enough to satisfy the people who were victimized by their cars being stolen, right? So the issue we're addressing today is the money that they're paying out, the $200 million, is that really enough money? Or should they be considering paying the owners a little bit more money, right? So let's discuss it, right? Now, let's go into a little bit of a story, right? All right. So think about it, right? So here you are, a hardworking blue collar American, white collar, whatever, right? And you wake up in the morning, getting yourself ready, you take a shower, you get dressed, put your clothes on, get ready to go outside the door. And you go to grab your keys and you grab your keys to walk outside the door and you look outside, nothing there, right? And you're wondering to yourself, wow, did I leave my car somewhere else? Did I did my partner take my car by accident and didn't let me know? Or am I actually in fact the victim of the TikTok challenge, right? So what's happening is people for predominantly all of last year, people are becoming victimized by this TikTok challenge. And what happens? The young children that are going out here and they're stealing cars. And the way that they're going about stealing the cars is the wildest part. They're not working hard at all in order for them to be able to get access to your car. So if you owned a Kia from the years of 2011 to 2022, and your key, you have a key style ignition and not the wireless Bluetooth ignition, somehow or another these children figured out how to steal your car, right? So let me share with you all what was happening. It's wild, right? So here it is. They're stealing your car. And how they're stealing your car is by breaking the ignition area right here and joyriding in your car. Look at that. Joyriding in your car. Here you are, a hardworking person, telling yourself that you're subscribing to the warranties that Hyundai provides. 10 years, 100,000 miles, 5 years, 60,000 miles, 7 years, unlimited miles, 5 years, unlimited miles. Kia, in a similar fashion, 10 years, 100,000 miles, 5 years, 60,000, 5 years, 100, 5 years, 60,000. And they're just joyriding with your stuff, riding down the street. Look at that. Everybody out the car. Everybody. Everyone's outside the car, joyriding at your expense. It's wild to me. You know, as someone who had to pay insurance claims twice last year in 2022 through no fault of my own. Now, if my policy requires me for each deductible to pay $250, that would have been $500. If it was $500 for each claim, that would have been $1,000. If it would have been $1,000 for each claim, that would have been $2,000. Now, why is that significant? First, we have to be honest that, I think that it's important that we have this conversation, that you have an emergency fund for such emergencies, things that are unforeseen. Create an opportunity for you to not take on something that you could have been prepared for ahead of time. You don't take it on as the end of the world. It could have been something that you just slide into action. But now here, if my claim was $1,000 for each incident, that would have been $2,000 that came out of my emergency fund. And I'm unable to utilize it and have it in play for something else going into the future. But now what's happening with this company is really interesting, right? Now, there's an option for me to be covered as a result of this $200 million settlement that Hyundai Motors and Kia Motors has agreed to. But what's unique? Let me show you guys. This is what's unique, right? So it's $200 million that has been agreed to, right? Now it's approximately 8.3 million cars that were impacted by not having the anti-theft system installed. Can you imagine 11 years of cars being produced and the anti-theft system is not there? So you're supposed to have coverage. You're supposed to have coverage for unforeseen things, but then you have this incident happen and you might have been struggling, living from paycheck to paycheck. How are you supposed to make this work? Right? It's really interesting. So here we go. 8.3 million US vehicles without anti-theft immobilizers. Now they agreed to offer a software upgrade, and the people without the anti-theft immobilizers had an opportunity to get old school practices in order for them to keep their cars from being stolen. You remember the club? You remember the club, the tool that would go over the steering wheel, keep someone from being able to drive it? That's what they're suggesting here. 2023. The club came out, what, maybe 1993? And people were able to use that to deter people from being able to steal their cars? And wild stuff. Wild stuff is happening. Young boys, 10, 11, 12 years old, out here with your stuff, joyriding, having a ball. At whose expense? The regular working person's expense, right? So look at this, man. They're having a ball. So here we go. Bam. Bam, look at that. All the way out. Yeah, man. It's wild stuff, right? So what does Hyundai say? Hyundai says, don't worry about it, guys. We got you. We're going to take care of it, right? The settlement covers about 8.9 U.S. owners and includes up to $145 million for out-of-pocket expenses for the losses that consumers may have had as a result of the stolen cars, as the lawyers mentioned here. The lawyer for the owners has mentioned here, right? Hyundai and Kia said that they will compensate owners who incurred theft-related vehicle losses and damage in addition to reimbursement for insurance deductibles, increased premiums, and other theft-related losses. Now, can they really help shield you from increased premiums? Now, wouldn't the premiums be associated with you as a driver? How can the owner, the manufacturing company, actually protect you from the insurance company saying, we're going to increase your premiums because you made us pay. We're not supposed to be paying, but you made us pay, right? So then this is what they said. For customers whose cars cannot accommodate security software upgrades, they will provide up to $300 for the purchase of steering wheel locks and other deterrent or prevention devices. Right? That's what they said. Now, these are the cars that are impacted, like I said, 2011 through 2022, right? And these are the cars that have the traditional insert and turn steel key ignition systems, right? This includes payment for the total loss of vehicles, $6,100, and personal property of up to $3,300 and insurance related expenses, right? So this is good. I like the direction that it's going in. It's not like they're saying, "Oh, hands off. It's not our problem. It's your problem. Figure it out." The question is, can they really protect you from increased premiums? I don't know. I don't think so. 6,100 is the most that they're going to pay you out. And that's in the event that your car is completely stolen, it's a total loss, and there's no way for you to retrieve the vehicle. Right here. Total loss of vehicles up to $6,100. How can we assure that the insurance company is not going to increase our policy? We cannot. It's interesting, right? Now it's saying that the the fees that the fines that you might incur as a result of this theft also includes car rental, excuse me, car rental, other transportation costs not covered by the insurance, and also included by the settlement. Right? If you had to get your car towed, it's wild. Now the cities that have banded together in order for them to sue the company: St. Louis, Missouri, Cleveland, San Diego, California, Milwaukee. Milwaukee, Columbus, Baltimore, Seattle. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. At your expense. Bam, 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 bam. At your expense. What do you guys think? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think it's fair? $6,100 for a total loss. $3,300 if you incurred some sort of personal property damage. Is that enough? It's $200 million, but is that enough? I don't know, man. Eesh. Mm, I don't know. I had two claims last year, and I don't know if my insurance policy has increased. I need to take a look at it. You know, thankfully enough, I actually track how much I pay for my insurance, so then I can tell from month to month exactly how much of an increase I've maybe incurred from one month to the next. But do you know? Are you tracking your expenses? Are you aware of how much you're paying for your insurance from one month to the next? How much are you being charged after this claim compared to the before the claim? This is interesting. Now, if you look in the description, you will see the link to the official website. And in the link, it states that this is a website. Now, this is not me guaranteeing anything, but if you go to this website right here, that's in the link, you'll be able to see some information that's being provided in reference to this issue, right? You can see the court appointed attorney that's addressing this issue right here. And then you can put your name here and be included as one of the class action beneficiaries or the victims. I think they call it the claimants, right? I think that it's a start in the right direction. Now, I've been involved in some class action lawsuits before. I've received a check for $7. I remember there was a car dealership that actually that was sued as a result of them charging for the dock fees. And I remember it was all the way in another state. And the only thing I could do was order stuff from that dealership, order parts. And I was trying to find the mats, the WeatherTech mats, the heavy duty ones, the ones that keep the water from touching the cloth mats, the rubber ones that fit perfectly into the cavity at the bottom of your car. Couldn't find them. Couldn't get them. I think it was like $300. I mean, essentially they ended up wearing me out. There's always a timeline that's associated with it. You have this much time that you need to claim your payout, and if you don't do it, completely lost. What do you think? 6,100 total loss. Is that enough? $3,300 for the personal property claim. I think it's a start in the right direction. Now, to be able to say who's going to be impacted and who is not, it's tricky. But like it says right here, it says failing to equip. This is what the lawsuit stemmed from. The lawsuit stems from Hyundai and Kia failing to equip the 2011 through 2022 models with anti-theft devices called an immobilizer, which prevents the vehicle from being started unless a code is transmitted from the smart key, according to court-appointed attorneys for the class action lawsuit. These guys were using a USB cable in order for them to steal the car. A USB cable. Before, I've seen people use screwdrivers, they're putting them in there, turning the key, the ignition in order for them to go. Man, they're using a USB cable out there joyriding your cars, having a ball. At whose expense? Remember, I told you guys, I had two claims last year. Two claims. I was lucky. One claim was $250, and the other claim, after I learned, I changed my policy to have a $100 deductible. Now, JC Pocket Washing, he states that my claim should be $1,000 for the insurance because he states that people who are paying a lower deductible, excuse me, people who are paying a high deductible have a lower premium. Now, what if I would have followed his advice and I had two claims, $1,000? Both of them were not my fault, but guess who had to pay for them? One was a hit and run, and the other one was wrong place at the wrong time. That's all I can really say. Oh man, yeah. So it's interesting, you know. What's Tam say? Tam says go to bed. Tam, people are out here joyriding. Check it out, Tam. Look at it. People are out here joyriding, having a ball, having a ball. Look at that. Here we go. Having a ball with your car. What are they saying? These are some of the recommendations that were made right here. This is what they said. Oh, let me get to it. Oh, struggle streaming. These are the recommendations they're making. They're saying you can consider getting a steering wheel lock, get an alarm system, park your car closer to the home. Don't leave your car or your AC running. That's what they said. Oh, valid recommendations, I guess. Assuming that your car doesn't have the ability to be started with a USB cable, so it's easy for people to say. I mean, what is it? Monday morning quarterback? Yeah. You can say a lot. What about like the burden that people had to go through? Like, is there like pain and suffering that should be considered there? Trying to come up with the money to pay the deductible, and now you're trying to figure out a way to get into another car. The first car has to be paid off. Now you got to get into another car. Man, it's rough out here. It is rough. That emergency fund comes through. But man, that could have been $2,000 for me personally last year. And one of the vehicles we just actually repaired it. Just because just life. Life. What do they say? Life be lifing. Yeah. So it's interesting. I think that, it's a start in the right direction. I don't know if it's the guaranteed way for people to be shielded from the long-term exposure to the insurance premiums being increased. It's raining here on us over here. Man, I'll be curious to hear what you guys think. Man, I want to know. I don't know. Like, is it fair for you to pay those claims? Like, what about like the stress that you went through in order for you to even come up with those funds? I mean, it's wild. And are the insurance companies being asked to not increase the deductibles or the policies for all people's impacted? I don't know. The insurance companies are one of those people that, I think that you pay and uh, they don't like to pay the money out. They're like, nah, man, we know the money's here, but we don't want to pay. We don't want to pay. Oh, salute the on the spot. On the spot, what you think? Do you think it's fair for people to be paying the money out and then the company saying, hey, listen, if you can't get a software upgrade on your car, we'll just go ahead and help you pay for the club. I don't know if you remember the club. It would go over the steering wheel, and I think it hooked like this, and then it kept people from being able to turn and drive around. I swear to you, it probably came out like in 1993, if not 1990. I'm curious. Maybe Tam, you can tell me when the club came out. I think it came out very, very early, right? So, all right. So, not me using her isms. Come on now. Oh man. Salute to D. Ah, man, listen. Women in Linux. Check out Women in Linux. Check out Owner Spot. Owner Spot is really great at sharing with us like the idea of us prioritizing owning something. You know, we're not just being passive renters and participants out here in this economy. And what I love about about Women in Linux is really having these kinds of conversations. They're talking about putting yourself in position to become a higher income earner and participate in this economy. You know, it's not fair for people to be burdened with coming up with this deductible. And I mean, in order for you to be able to pay the deductible, the money has to come from somewhere. You have to be prepared for it. God forbid if you actually were not prepared for it, then you were really stressing out. Now, is the company actually going to take into consideration the mental strain that you put on yourself in order for you to come up with the funds? Or are they going to say, how much did you have to pay? Get out of here. Okay, that's what you had to pay. Get out of here. We're not going to consider the stress that you went through, who you had to borrow money from, and what kind of negotiating you had to do, and eating ramen noodles and beans and rice and eggs, sugar water. Man, all of that, right? Here we go. Owner Spot says that's awful, right? Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, check out Owner Spot. She she lives what would I call it? She lives in two states. She lives in AZ. I want to say it's AZ. AZ during the summer, in Chicago during excuse me, AZ during the winter, and Chicago during the summer. So check out her channel. She has some good content. She's out here covering the Windy City. But yeah, I like channels like Women in Linux and Owner Spot where we can just have curated conversations about putting ourselves in position, you know. So I'm curious to see what everyone has to say about this wild situation. Out there riding. We out there riding on whose dime? Yours. Riding on your dime. Having a ball, running into anybody and everybody. That's wild. And hopefully this can be addressed. You know, all it takes is for one TikTok challenge to share with everyone how to do it, and it just goes wild. The whole country is taken by storm, and we'll see what happens. But salute to Kia and Hyundai Motors for at least taking action and not saying, "Hey, it's completely you all's fault." But I think that it'd be really helpful if they can get some assurances to the owners and say, "Hey, listen, your insurance policy will never be increased as a result of this because this had 100% to do with the immobilizers not being installed in those cars, and we can't ask you to be the one that has to pay for them." But you know, insurance companies don't like paying out. They don't. Not at all. That's what she said. Yeah. So Tam, they're giving out a settlement. It's $200 million. $200 million altogether, and I don't know. I think that it's relatively fair. $200 million in total, right? 900 million cars. $145 million going towards the out-of-pocket losses. So that would be $50 million that's being paid out just in claims alone. Um, and then the 145 million that's supposed to go towards the out-of-pocket expenses that might have been incurred. And salute to them for doing it. I mean, they probably had to have their arms twisted. You know, it's really good. It's good for them given their history with covering their cars from end to end. So I salute them for being able to do that. But I don't know if it's enough though. I mean, for me, if I can get the insurance companies to be hooked into it. Matter of fact, in the comments, I'd be interested to see what sort of claims that you all have been impacted by in the past, you know, settlements. I've been involved, like I said, the car dealership was sued for charging $300 dock fees. I have, I remember one of the cell phone companies was sued, and I think I might have received a check for like $7 or something weird like that. And then I recall I might have been. It's really interesting all the claims, like the other claims that are out there right now for TurboTax. TurboTax owes us some money. If you were promised that you were going to get free processing, and they ended up charging you money on the at the end after you added this and added that. So there's a claim that's out there. So I'll be talking about that soon. I mean, my monies. That's what I want to be able to say. I mean, my monies. Without a whole bunch of obstacles, right? So, and what does Tam say? Right? The owners will pay in some way. Exactly. They will. And then I think it's almost impossible for there not to be like a long-term impact to this. To me, I think that it's messed up. And I don't believe that there is actually a legitimate way for them to actually shield you completely from exposure. But it's a start. It's a start in the right direction. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I appreciate y'all coming through. I'd be interested to hear about some of your claim stories. Like I said, I missed out on $300. It was probably 4 states away. It was in Missouri. I'm here in North Carolina. And the car that I purchased from Missouri, they weren't supposed to charge people the $300 dock fee. And I was never able to get anything from the dealership. I was supposed to call the parts department, order a part. They're going to ship it to me. Man, life be lifing. You get busy. You don't go out there and order and get the stuff. They take advantage. You get the little card. The card is like this small. It'll say you have been listed as a victim in this class action lawsuit. You will be receiving payment, or the decision will be made at this point, and then at that point you will be paid out whatever, whatever, whatever. Don't get too busy. Put it on your refrigerator door. How can we avoid this situation? I don't know if we can. I think that companies need to be held accountable for the improper steps that they take. Nissan is guilty of something similar. They have 2 cars that are started with the same exact key. You know, that claim has not come all the way out, but there was a situation where someone went into a parking lot. They had a car exactly the same as someone else. They walked up there, unlocked the door, got into the car, started it up, realized it wasn't their car, got out of the car, went to their actual car, got in, started the car, and left. 2 cars, same exact build, model, color, and that happened. So these companies maybe are getting lazy. They're trying to push, pump all this product. And maybe they're not taking all the necessary steps to make sure that you as the owner are not having to pay for it on the back end. So I offer to you the opportunity to potentially like the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'd be interested to hear what claims you might have been a part of in the past and whether you really took advantage of it. Me, I think I've missed out on at least 3 lawsuits just because I'm busy. Life is lifing. If I could put it on my refrigerator, remind myself, make sure you get your claim. Make sure you get your claim. But I don't think they make it easy. And then sometimes there's so many people, you might be left with $4.97. So on the spot says, I never have the time. Exactly, right? She said, yep, the same exact thing. Yeah, they get you. You're just busy. Small window, 60 days. You got to make your claim. Bam. Opportunity gone. All right. So that's it. I appreciate y'all coming through. Until next time, peace.